So, here's what should have happened. According to what we've learned in the past, when you see something like this, f of 5, all that means is plug it in, right? Plug it in. So in this problem right here, it doesn't change the rules just because it says 2x. We still have to put the 2x inside of the other problem. So when you substitute, I tried to emphasize this last week, when you take out an x, you have to put parentheses. So this should say parentheses squared plus 3. Then we put the 2x on the inside. Once we get all the stuff in there, then we simplify using PEMDAS. Don't forget that this 2 means there's 2 of these. So it's 2x times 2x. So this is 4x squared, and then plus 3. Now here's the other thing about this bell work question that we just did. If you understood that, I think today's going to be easy for you, because we just did a composition of functions. Remember at the beginning of class I told you that they write it a weird way, and then I have to teach you how to read it? Well, here's what you guys don't understand that you just did. I kept these directions out so that you wouldn't get confused. G of x is actually 2x. And so what you found here, and I'm going to write this down, I want you to write it down also, we did a composition of functions where you put one entire problem inside of the other one, following the same rules as we learned before as if they were numbers. So we put the g of x problem inside of the f of x problem. So the thing that's going to be different this time is we're not just going to put numbers in, we're going to put an entire problem. So I have to just teach you how to do it. So I'm going to show you some advice. I'm going to show you some advice on how to do it, and then we'll practice doing it a few times. So I'm going to put some notes on this right here. I'm going to do it kind of like steps. Step 1. When we do these problems, usually we start from the inside, right? I'm actually going to have you start with this one. So you're going to write the first one, the one that's on the outside. You're going to write it without the x, or x's. However many x's the problem has, you're going to take them all out, and you know what you're going to put instead? What do you put when you take x's out? Whatever you put. Well, parentheses first. Put parentheses. So write the f problem without any of the x's. Use parentheses instead. So the first part of this is the problem that we're going to put stuff into. Step 2 is to put the stuff in. Put the g of x in. That's all you do. And then you simplify after that. Now we're going to be working with a lot of problems at once. So it's going to be super important that you keep this stuff organized. I told the other class that just left, I have kids who are very good at math, but they miss these questions a lot because they're not organized. If you put the stuff in the wrong place, technically that's the wrong problem. So it doesn't matter how good you are at math, you're going to get it wrong. So we have to try to stay organized, and we have to do it in the right order. So that's what we're going to practice here. So this is a typical question, very similar to what you just saw up above. But we have to figure out what the directions are saying. These are the directions here. So here's what we do. Start by finding this problem here. Find f. Find the f problem and rewrite the entire problem, but don't put any x's. Put parentheses instead. So here it is right here. Look at, here's the f problem. The f problem has an x squared, so I'm going to put parentheses squared, and I'll put minus 3. Then it says put this problem on the inside. So we go see what that problem is equal to. That problem is equal to 2x. We're going to put that inside of the other problem. So we put the 2x inside. So this problem is literally going inside of here. That's all it is. And then we simplify it like before. This problem was almost identical to the bell work. If I have 2x to the second, that ends up being 4x squared. The only difference, oh my gosh. The only difference is, instead of a plus 3 like above, it's a minus 3 this time. That's our answer. This right here, what we just did, is called a composition of functions. but we're not using numbers, we're using an entire expression. Yeah.
How can you tell that from how you put it together with the two equations? How can you tell that from this?
Like the ones we did on Friday? The ones on Friday had a number. The ones on Friday looked like this. F of G of 2. So that's it's a small difference, but it makes a big difference when you actually do the problem. In this type, for Friday, what type of answer should we get? Just a number. But over here, because this has an X in it, our answer is going to have X's in it. So that's how you can tell the difference. It's all based on how the instructions look. And that's my big thing this year is making sure you understand what the directions are telling you. Because it tells you everything, you just have to understand how to read it. So let me show you another example. This one's kind of similar, very similar actually. The only difference is these over here changed. So I'm going to start writing this one down. I'm going to write the G problem down. I'm going to write it without any X's, and I'm going to put parentheses instead. So the G of X problem is right here. Here it is right here. So I'm going to take the side that's on the right side right here. I'm going to take it and I'm going to rewrite it without the X. And you know what's going to go inside? Yeah, the other problem. That's what this is. It's putting one problem into the other problem. So this right here says put the f of x problem into the g problem. So here's f of x. I want to put it inside of the g. So it goes x squared minus 3. And then we simplify. 2x squared minus 6. That's our answer. It's not that bad, but you're going to see that it does get confusing sometimes, especially when you have like more than two functions up there. I think on the next page, if you guys turn to the next page, there's like 6. Is there 6 or 3? I just made that up. I don't remember. No, there's only 3. I saw a worksheet the other day because I was looking at some extra practice because students struggle with this. I was looking at extra practice and I found this worksheet. It had like 9 different functions and it said like f of g of x, find g of h. It had all this fancy stuff, but once you break down what it means, it really isn't that hard. The letters are telling you which problems to use. That's all it is. So we're going to do another one. So check this out. Let's go into the instructions. Let's figure out what the instructions are telling us. So in problem 1, which equation do I start with? I'm going to start with g. I want to write the g problem down. And I want to take out every x that it has and replace it with parentheses first. We'll go back and fill it in later. So let's see. Here's the g problem right here. It's got 2 different x's. So I'm going to put, oh, I don't want x. I'm going to put parentheses squared plus parentheses. Then how do you know what goes inside? That's this one right here. So it's saying now go to the f of x problem, which is all of this stuff, and put that in all the parentheses. So you put 9 minus x here, and then you put 9 minus x here. Every time you have a set of parentheses, the same stuff goes into it. I wish. A lot of people make a mistake on this first part. They tell me the answer is 81 plus x squared. But, taking it back to last week, what does that little 2 mean? It means there's 2 of them. Now you're going to find out, after doing this enough times, this is a FOIL question, and in a FOIL question, usually you'll get 3 answers out of it. You get 3 parts. So this is 9 minus x, 9 minus x. Let me raise this up higher so you can see in the back. So if I multiply this out, 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times negative x is negative 9x. Now I have to multiply the negative x. This one has to multiply here, so negative 9x again. And then negative x times negative x, positive x squared.
And then plus another 9.
Yeah, remember this guy over here? We haven't done anything with them yet, so we'll put a 1 here and distribute that if you want, but it doesn't change anything. So it's just 9 minus x.
And that's how it stays.
Almost. We got to put it together now to simplify. Combine like terms. Let's go in order from the highest exponent. So this is the highest exponent. It doesn't have anything else that could go with it, so that's first. So after the squares, now you got the regular x's. So let's put this one together with this one, and also put it together with this one. minus 9 and minus 9. I owe 9, I owe 9 more, so that makes me owe 18. Then I owe 1 more, so now I owe $19. I don't know if I've talked to all of you about that, but a lot of times when I talk positives and negatives, I talk about money. If it's negative, you owe it. If it's positive, you have it. So you can sort of cancel out your debt and see if you owe money or have money. If you owe, it's negative. If you have, it's positive. And then the last part is the 81 plus the 9. Yeah. You put this one together with this one. 81 plus 9 is 90. There's our answer. It's not that bad, but the first step is the most important step. You mess up the first step, doesn't matter how good your math is, you're going to get the question wrong because you're not following directions. Yes.
So every time it has being squared on the outside, that means 2 times.
Yes.
And how do you know when it's ready to square it?
The only time you square it is if the stuff inside isn't separated by pluses and minuses. Like in the bell work. Right here, we didn't write this twice. I mean, you could have, but it's just 2x all squared.
And there's not plus or minus.
Right. There's no foiling if there's no pluses and minuses. If everything is stuck together, you can just square each thing separate and then put them together right there. Let's see, I'll do another one with you. Let's go way over here to number 3. I don't have space for number 2. Let's go over to number 3. Which problem do I write down first? Start with the H. I'm going to take the H problem, which is right here, and I'm going to write the entire problem on the right side without the X. Instead of X, I'm just going to put the parentheses. So which problem goes on the inside? The F problem. So over here, the F problem is this one. So everywhere I see parentheses, I just put that inside of them. So I have 9 minus X. Now, in the other class, there was a kid that tried to distribute the 2. You can't distribute the 2, though, because it's separated by a sign. So we can't do it that way. If that sign wasn't there, then yes, multiply the 2, but since it's separate, you can't. So think of it this way. There is something in front of these parentheses, kind of like when you have it's an X. What's in front of X? Yeah, so this is like having a 1. And when you times by 1, nothing really happens, right? The parentheses just go away. And then you can combine like terms. So 9 take away 2. 7. I'm going to put the X first, though. It has to be in standard form. So negative X first, and then plus 7, and that's our final answer. So what I want to do right now is I want to give you guys about 30 seconds to set up number 4. Don't work it out, just set it up. I want to see if you guys can get that part right. You're arguing that number 4 is the same exact problem, but it actually isn't because the letters are in a different order. So in number 4, what equation do we start writing down first? We're going to write the F problem. So the F problem is 9 minus parentheses, and then what goes inside of it?
X minus 2.
Okay? So I'm going to put the X minus 2 on the inside.
And then pretend we have a 1 in front of it.
So we're going to pretend we have a 1 here, which makes it a negative 1. So this is negative 1x, and then we distribute that to the negative 2, which makes it a plus 2. I don't think that's the same problem.
Well, I didn't know what the negative 1.
I told you to put the negative 1. Let's see, number 5. What does number 5 say? G of x inside. I want you guys to try number 5 by yourself, like completely by yourself. Set it up, put it in, and then simplify it. I'll give you 62 seconds. I don't know if you're going to need all 62 seconds. But let me start with the setup first. Let's all make sure we got it set up right. So according to what I told you, when you see a problem that has these 3 letters in a row, you're going to start with this one first. Write down that problem first, take out all the x's, put parentheses instead. So I'm going to start with H. The H problem says parentheses minus 2. Then we go and look at the problem that's on the inside, g of x. We go see what that's equal to, and that's what we fill into our parentheses. So this is x squared plus x. Then we have to simplify it because I don't want to see parentheses. So there's a 1 in front. So if I distribute the 1, it gives me x squared plus x minus 2. There's your answer. How many of you got that? Yeah, there's no work on that one. If we get it in, you're good to go. Okay, try the last one now. Yeah, that's what I got.
Wait,
You guys got?
if you get
Plus 2?
yeah. Is it -2, -4?
-2 and -2?
Yeah.
No, did you see how I put it in red? I put that in red because every year that's where people mess up. They say that's -4.
But don't you if you go to and then you go 2 more.
That's for adding though. When you multiply, if the signs match, it turns plus. So this should be your final answer.
I had a plus, just I had a circle next to it.
So let me just briefly summarize up to this point in this chapter what we should know. You should know what this means, right? It's a simple one. This means plug in x equals 1. That's all it means. You should also know what this means. This is what we did on Friday. This is a two-step problem. This one means plug in x equals 1 into g. And then step 2 is plug the answer into f. So that was Friday's stuff. Today's stuff is this. So what did we learn today? We learned today, write the f problem down first, and then plug in this stuff. For the test, you have to know the difference in all three of those. Don't forget also, you need to know the difference between that and this stuff. You guys remember what that means? What does that mean? Yeah, so it means take that problem, and plug it in. Remember, if it has x's, you should probably have x's at the end. What if that had numbers inside? Plug in each number separate, get the two answers, and then add them together. So for the test, you have to know the difference in all that stuff. Yeah. This one? Usually the instructions are going to be like this. And I've seen some people do their own substitution. Like, for example, instead of writing it like this, I could have changed it so it looks like this instead. So you could see it like that. In fact, that's what the bell work was, remember? Because I didn't teach you how to read the instructions yet. These were the instructions that I left off, but you didn't know that yet, so I just straight up said, just put that stuff in there, because I knew that was something you kind of already knew how to do. But for the most part, when it's the one where you plug the whole problem in, it's going to have 3 letters in a row. So just like that. The last piece I need to tell you is just some review math facts from I don't know when, probably freshman year. So I just want to make sure that this is clear. You guys know what this thing is called? It's called the square root. Do you know what happens if I have an x squared inside of it?
Error.
Yeah, no, it goes away. Errors only happen if you have a negative inside. But if you have an x squared inside, here's something that you're going to learn in this class. But I'm going to tell you because it's in today's assignment. Did you know there's a little number on this step right here? The 2, that's why it's called the square root. If you have a squared and a square root, they basically cancel each other, and the answer is x. But here's the catch though. This little number right here tells you how many copies you're supposed to have to get it out. So check this out. let's say it said this instead, x squared plus 1. You know what this answer is? That's what everyone thinks. The answer is this. It doesn't change. Here's why. Remember what number is here? There's a 2. And that 2 means you have to have 2 copies. I don't have 2 copies. I only have 1 copy. If that was a 2 out there, if this was a 2, then we could cross them out and bring out the x squared plus 1. So it all depends on how it looks. On the assignment, you might see something like this. What do you think this one means? Yeah, 3 copies, and there's 3 of them. So that just turns into x. I'm going to give you time to work on the next assignment because it's the hard stuff, quote unquote, stuff we talked about today. Remember I told you, this lesson was the one that students struggle with the most.
This is the hardest lesson I've seen here.
No, I said of this chapter. We got other stuff to do in the other chapters. But out of this chapter, f of g of x is what people struggle with the most over the last 8 years that I've been teaching this class. So I want to give everyone a chance to practice that. If you have questions from old assignments, I can walk around and help you with those too. But assignment, we're going to do assignment 0.3. We're going to do the front page only. So I think it's 1 through 20. But I actually don't want you to do the 2 steps. The ones that have numbers in it. Like number 3, and number 6, and number 9.
Number 3, 6.
Do you see how those have numbers inside? Because that was Friday. I want to focus on the stuff that people struggle with the most today. So don't do the ones that have numbers inside of them. Skip all the ones that have numbers inside.
So 12, 13.
Just do f of g of x, g of f of x ones. The ones that have letters only. Yeah, do those. That's your assignment for today. No, it's a lot less than 20.